Bobby, what time do you have?
3:20.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, everything's in order. And congratulations, by the way. Boy, that was your pilot.
That girl was?
I'm sorry.
I was my pilot?
Hey, what's the matter?
That girl?
Yes, sir. It's a new service. First woman pilot.
And the first thing that she did was to ask what time it was. That's it.
Right, I don't want to get a copyright strike for playing that.
That's so funny.
Damn it. Oh man. Holy cow. Yeah, we got some good stuff to go through today, man. Oh, you know what? All right. So Rob doesn't trust me with the ad read. So Rob made an ad read. We gotta play. Let me see if I can find Rob's ad read. It's actually like done really well. I kind of don't like it.
You kind of don't like it.
It's too professional. I don't like it. Like it seems like something like a real show would put together. And it's kind of I don't know. Let's play Rob's ad read. Let's see.
This video is brought to you by Requisite Cellars, the winery with the mission. These folks are unapologetically Catholic and pro-life, so they're not just fermenting grapes, they're fermenting conviction. A small, family-run fruit farm and winery in Washington State. They're pouring out big, full-bodied Bordeaux-style red wines that will make your taste buds say amen. Plus, they've got farm-fresh fruit, so pre-order now, and they'll ship it when it's ripe. Swing by their site, requisitecellars.com. Use code BASED25, that's BASED25, for 10% off, and sip some grace while supporting Avoiding Babylon. Cheers to that.
I don't like how he said requisite instead of
That's
requisite.
like way too fancy for this show.
It's just, I don't like how he said requisite.
We need you to do your own ad, just like you do with the trad recovery conference. That's the style of ad that we need.
It might be better. It sounds like Rob is too worried about failure. We want Rob. Grover, this ad sucks. Poor Requisite Cellars. What were you thinking sponsoring us?
Me, man.
All right, so I have to look through what videos we're gonna go. All right, so I spent the day yesterday. I've been getting bombarded in my Twitter, not my Twitter, my YouTube algorithm with these leftist podcasts, and I've gone through their channels to like see where the hell these people came from. Let's see. That's actually a good idea. It's perfect to play when Anthony's like when I'm scrolling through stuff. But wait, let me just see something. We have some funny like some of these that we have are like,
who are you? Who do you think you are? That you're just too good for Jesus.
Like I forgot about some.
That's not how Catholicism works.
You found the producer button now.
That's it. Like
I snapped my fingers.
Funny stuff saved in here. Like, all right. So, all right. Yeah. So yesterday I'm going through and I went through their channels to try and see like where these things started from. And like some of them were started 2 years ago, but you go back and when you look to the beginning, their first video has 700,000 views. Like this is such an astroturfed, ridiculous thing. Like none of them are organic. You could tell what they're trying to do. They realize nobody's watching TV anymore. They see that through places like Joe Rogan and Theo Von and I mean even little things like ours. Like people don't get their media from regular TV anymore. People are scrolling YouTube, so they're just trying to plaster this space, and the YouTube algorithm is forcing them down our throats. Like some of the stuff I pulled out, it's so bad.
It's
like
so off the wall.
It's so bad. Wait till you see some of it. But before we even get to that, let me just see something. I have so many good videos to go through. Wait, let's see.
Thanks, House Muzg 19. Hey guys, dropping a super chat. Great show. Before getting locked in another sanctuary. Yeah, honestly, did you guys hear about that? Speaking like YouTube friendly, there was another strand of a certain, let's just say, ailment in China that broke like yesterday from bats, and so now
Oh
all those,
yeah, it's
and I was just like, hopefully this is just another one of those like a zillion and one version stories that we've heard over the last
that's
like 2 or 3 years.
I don't think that's what it is. I think that's to keep focus off of people looking into was the original one released on purpose. Like that's all that is. It's like,
Exactly.
ooh, there's another coronavirus strain at the this thing, and it's like, yeah, you're trying to just get our attention off of something else. But all right, first, I guess we'll start with the Kash Patel, him getting sworn in, right? Like this was a very interesting moment.
It was.
First and foremost, we were just with President Trump, and I just want to thank him. I know he's not here in the room right now, but what a ride we have been on. What a courageous warrior and leader he has been, and the faith and trust he has put in me to lead the FBI is the greatest honor that I'll ever have in my life. And to General Bondi, that sounds pretty freaking cool. Pam, you're my sister, you're my mentor, you're my friend. You're my boss, and the confidence you have placed in me, I will never violate that trust. The men and women of the FBI will be led under your leadership through one standard, the Constitution. So thank you for entrusting me, Pam.
So, like, I've never seen, I don't know if it's because I've never watched the other confirmation hearings, but like, I've never seen like an excitement like that around an FBI director getting like,
Good reason.
It's like they got, so all right, so what we're going to go into next is this liberal podcast that I found yesterday. Well, not that I even found them, they actually just forced them into my feed, having an absolute meltdown about Kash Patel getting put in. Hang on, let me see.
Of course, it's some beta white male.
Of course it is. Yeah, let me see.
The token white males.
Let's see. I'm doing my best here, guys. I'm not Rob. Just keep that in mind. So,
Will Stansel. No, it's dark, man, and it's like it's what was it like? Early Trump years, Kash was kind of like this weird, mythical, weird figure who was kind of in and around the White House, and people were like, "What is he doing?"
He's in Nunez world at first.
In Nunez world, and like what, unmasking stuff.
He'd show up in Europe doing like rogue investigations into the dossier.
And like serious people were like, "This guy is kind of insane and dangerous to have around." But Trump 2.0 is that these are the people who are running this stuff, and we're just in uncharted territory here. And I guess I'm a little bit surprised. I shouldn't have been. I thought this one might have been a step too far for Republicans, but
dude, wait till you see how this guy. Wait until you see where this is going. Just wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that takes us nicely to anger. Do you want to guess who I'm angry at? Because it might not be the obvious. It might be the obvious person. But I'm like I just did yoga, so I'm looking so fresh. But I have not namaste'd. I'm consumed with rage at one person in particular.
Dude, are they kidding me?
Oh, bro.
Are they seriously? I just did yoga. I'm not namaste'd yet. Like I'm consumed with rage. Like
So true. These are the bulwarks of the ex-Republicans and Bush staffers. Honestly, it's honestly so true. They always think like a token white male who's like, I used to be a Republican back in 2000. I voted for George Bush, and now I'm appalled at the reckless behavior of Trump nominating such a cretin as Kash Patel.
Even seen these guys before, so like the idea that they're like that people even know who they are is funny to me. Like I have never seen them, and they were just that guy on with the black hair. Just oh my god, I just did my yoga. Like this.
Oh, the yoga why worked for Jeb. That's wild.
So if this is what they're doing to like, I still don't think they get what happened in this election. Like they're still putting forth these beta males. Like if this guy's talking about going to yoga and namaste, like that is not the world. Like this is such a bizarre plan that they have.
They have nothing. I mean, the problem is that Trump's going full blitzkrieg mode, and all they can do is be the party of react to whatever he's doing, which is horribly because it's like in a political campaign, you want to be the person who's on the offensive 24/7, ideally, and keeping your opponent on the defensive. But they don't have a main candidate to get behind. They don't have a main message really to get behind. Like the best that they can come up with is essentially like block Elon Musk's investigations. And that's pretty much it.
Well, okay, so in that show, dude, I sat through that show. I wasn't going to make you guys do it, but they go through talking about how the so now that Kash is in, there's going to be these rogue investigations that are going to be targeted. And, you know, if somebody just doesn't like a political opponent, they're just going to go out there. And it's like, this is literally what they did. They know what's going to happen because this is what they did for the past 4 years.
Politics is civilized warfare. That's all that it is. So what's so funny is the way that they're framing these things is they're like, I would have never pictured just like such a radical figure as Kash Patel or something like that being put inside of these offices. It's like, what are you trying to do? That's like an emotional appeal to emotional people.
Yeah.
That's all it does.
Okay, so I was just at a bookstore in the DMV area, and some people were discussing losing their cushy jobs and how everyone is leaving DC, New Jersey.
So nice.
Okay, so I want to get into this a little bit because there's one area that I see conservatives are getting excited that I think is stupid. Everybody's cheering that the IRS agents were fired. And it's like, oh yeah, who cares? Yeah, they fired IRS agents. That means like the reason they're firing IRS agents is because Elon is in there hooking up AI and they don't need those agents anymore. And it's going to be so meticulous that every single transaction we're making on Cash App or we're making on Venmo, like this is not good. Like losing the IRS agents, like they're all incompetent people there. You kind of want that. You'd rather have incompetent people running the IRS than
incompetent machines,
than a competent AI, because that AI is going to, I'm telling you, down to the last transaction. Like everybody's worried about a central bank digital currency. And I'm like, I don't really use cash. Like occasionally I'll take a couple $100 out of the ATM, but generally everything is debit card or my phone.
Exactly.
And they are going to know every single transaction that we make. So I really think going forward, people need to be careful. You know, like we may get to a point where you don't have to file taxes anymore because they just know every single thing you do. You know, I don't think this is the win everybody thinks it is. In other words,
they do an automatic withdrawal. Like AI just does it themselves. Like, yeah, you don't even have to pay taxes, y'all. Like, we'll do it for you, and they just withdraw from your account.
Well, the thing with AI is that it gets down to like understanding every single transaction and where it goes. You know, like it really does. It understands, like, you know, if you're sending somebody something through Venmo, then that person buys something. You know, they'll be able to trace every single dollar where it goes, and it'll be down to like a micro computing level. So there's not going to be any way to get around. Yeah, Anthony's
Gosh, this kid.
Anthony's mob instinct is picking
That's
up
literally
right
what I was about to make that joke. I was about to be like, so the Italian mafias, it's over now. It's over.
Well, if you think about it, the mob is really no longer a thing because of technology. Like if you go back to even the early 2000s, you still had the mob in New York and New Jersey. Yeah. It comes in about like 2018 where the entire city is on camera at this point. Like there's not a place you can go that you're not on camera and they have facial recognition. Right. So there was a story last year or the year before where a bunch of mob guys went in and robbed a jewelry store, but they tracked them back through facial recognition from the point to where they got in their car, like not even in New York City. Like they were able to track these guys through cameras and facial recognition, and they were picked up within 3 days. Like there is no such thing as getting away with this stuff. It's the same thing with all of the illegals committing crimes in New York. They got away with it because the DAs chose not to prosecute them and they chose to let them go on sanctuary city status. But as soon as Homan comes in, he knows exactly where these people are. They know exactly where they're residing. They know exactly where to go to get them. There's no way you're getting around it now. The technology, like we're all worried about, oh no, we're going to get China's AI systems over here. Like it's already here. There's no
they've had stuff like this crap for forever. I mean, you go into like most businesses and they already were doing biometric stuff. like forever ago. And so it's just like, why do you not think they have camera stuff?
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. The one other thing I have a bunch of clips we're gonna go through today. This one I found hilarious. The thing that they're trying to do with because we're talking about New York, we'll keep it on topic. This one is amazing. So Trump in New York, they started this thing called congestion pricing. And it's basically a toll if you want to go uptown in Manhattan. Okay, so you pay a toll coming in through the tunnels. You pay a toll if you want to come over any of the bridges. There was always a way to get into New York without paying a toll, though. If you went over the 59th Street Bridge, that's free. You didn't have to do that. There was always roads you could get around. Like, it would have been one thing if Kathy Hochul would have made the toll if you're going up 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Ave, because those are the busiest fairways. But she didn't. It's like if you go anywhere above 37th Street, you're getting hit with a $9 toll. Now you got to think about all of the cab drivers, all of the Uber drivers, all of just the regular people who have to go uptown to go do a delivery for Uber or something like that, Uber Eats or anything like that. Like, people are getting demolished on this, and there's no way around it. There's no way for people to access public streets without paying this $9 toll. And now if somebody's going up and down, up and down, up and down, like, you're paying several of those a day.
Yeah, that's
so
a lot.
Trump comes in and he has his Department of Transportation just totally axe this plan. They're like, no. Now there may be a modified version of it that they could put through, but the Department of Transportation is basically like, look, you can't just deny people access to public roadways. Like, you can't. You didn't do any kind of test program where it was like, okay, well, we'll actually reduce congestion on these roads if we put a toll here, here, and here, and that will actually. They did no studies whatsoever. They just needed money, and the people have already paid for those roads through their taxes. Like, it's not like these tolls are going to be used to upkeep the roads. Like, we already pay our roadway tax. This is just a money grab on their part. So there may be a modified plan that comes through, but the way Trump did it, you gotta watch Lawrence O'Donnell. The funniest thing is these people trying to defend the Democrat governor Kathy Hochul from robbing her own citizens. It's pretty freaking funny. All right, now watch Lawrence O'Donnell have this complete meltdown.
Yesterday, Donald Trump asserted kingly powers, literally kingly powers, in a post on social media announcing his attempt to overrule local law in New York City that has successfully reduced traffic gridlock in New York City.
It has successfully, this local law that has successfully reduced traffic gridlock. It has not in any way. Like, people that are forced to drive are just forced to drive. They're stuck doing it. There's no way around it. It has not done anything in New York City.
Trump said, congestion pricing is dead in Manhattan. All of New York is saved. Long live the king! President Donald J. Trump. Accompanied by this grotesque representation of a truly mad and imaginary king wearing a gold crown.
The left just cannot meme. They just don't understand.
He's the greatest troll in history.
By far.
Like, I've never seen that. If they continue down this road where they're just reacting to everything Trump does, I don't know. We may never lose another election again. It's so insane where, like, why are you defending congestion pricing? There's not a single New Yorker in existence who wants congestion pricing. There's not a single one. We don't care if it's to think that New Yorkers are going to be outraged because Trump got rid of congestion. Like, they're so dumb, these people.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's you have to be, if you're going to be politically smart, you have to be on the offensive. And that's not what they're doing. Like, what they're doing is defending just stupid crap. It's like 3 weeks ago when you saw all those ladies that were singing, like, "We will defeat Elon Musk," and they were singing that old socialist song outside the Capitol. It's like they have nothing really to hoist to their defense.
Yeah. All right. So M. Proximus asked, is Adams going to get a Trump administration position if the Hochul drives him out for his treason against the party? I don't think Adams is going anywhere. I don't think he's going anywhere. So they're trying to play it off like there was this quid pro quo with between Adams and the Trump administration. There really isn't. They're going after Adams. It was the Southern District of New York, who's the same. It's the same apparatus that went after Trump for all of the nonsense they did in New York. So what happens is when Trump administration comes in, the Southern District of New York, now Pam, what's her name? Pam Bondi gets to put whoever she wants in the Southern District of New York. It's, you know, it may be a state thing, but it's like federal, and I think, I mean,
yeah, it's federal district court, I think.
Yeah, it's a federal district court. So Pam Bondi gets to put her own attorneys in there, and they just drop the charges. They're like, this is ridiculous. Like, they're clearly going after Adams because of this. But when it went before a court the other day, the judge said that the proceedings are allowed to continue, but it has to be through an outside prosecutor or something like that. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's a judge that was put in by the Biden administration. They're just trying to prolong it to make sure that Adams still has this pressure on him to put fear in him. It's a silly thing. I don't think Adams is going anywhere. I think he's going to run for mayor again, and I think he'll probably win. They're going to try and primary him, but I think he'll win again, because I think largely New Yorkers are fed up with the immigration stuff. Like, there's no New Yorkers who are horrified by the Border Patrol coming in and taking these criminals out of New York. Like, it's just not, it doesn't exist. I'm wondering, have you met a single person who voted for Trump but regrets it?
This time around, no, I've not met anybody. And that's why I'm saying, like, I mean, the premise of this whole show is I don't go on YouTube that much and like scroll around. All the stuff I've been seeing is on Instagram. It's like all these liberal podcasts that are popping up everywhere. I've never seen them before. I've never been in that algorithm, and it's all just this insane rage.
It's pretty crazy.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think so much of this is, I think, exactly what like the pollsters did back in August of last year with Kamala. It was like all a bunch of fake astroturfed polls to make people feel good. And I think that's what they're doing now, is they're trying to get some type of momentum through airwaves.
All right, sticking with Trump being the greatest troll of all time.
Yeah, great.
Let's stick with Trump being the greatest troll of all time. I watched that crazy person, JoJo from Jers, on X today, posted this video and said, "This is how you handle a dictator." And when I tell you, it is the greatest Trump, like, it's so crazy how we see it versus how they see it. Like, they see it as the Dems owning Trump. Like, they saw Kathy Hochul's Kathy Hochul comes out and does a press conference the other day, and she's like, "We will not bow to kings. New York has not served a king in 250 years." Like, you idiot. Like, you're just falling for a troll on a social media post, and you're under the impression that you have the right position. Yeah, it's funny. But so Trump addresses the governor of Maine in this clip, and the left thinks that this woman owned Trump. You tell me what you think of this, because I think it's one of the greatest Trump moments in a while.
Is the Maine here, the governor of Maine? Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it, because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply, because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding. Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a really easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
He's the greatest of all time.
What it is that they're not
I'll see you in court. That should be an easy one. Enjoy your life afterward, governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. He's amazing.
They're not. My friend Jordan from the Glad Trad podcast, he has this theory of world history where he says that the theory he's like attached to is the great man theory, which is that human history is essentially set by like great figures who ultimately like change or move a pendulum or bring people into like a new century or new time period or whatever. And I think Trump is that, whether people like him or loathe him. It's like he is a kingpin who will do what he needs to do to save the United States of America. And he's doing this, of course, legally. It's like these states that go and think that they can just defy the federal government just because they want to, because these are just activists.
Well, it also shows it also shows how dependent all these states are on federal money too, right? Because if you really did want to define it,
Severely.
just let go of your dependence on federal money, and you could run your state however you want, which would actually be the best way to go about it.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, you want
Ideally,
to disagree with Trump, that's fine. Cut your dependence off on federal money, which would be good for the country. Like, it'll be less than, like, if every state could run themselves independent of the federal government, that's actually the way to go about it, you know? Somebody, all right, wait. Paul said it. This is like Trump 2016. Here's what's crazy. I remember watching this election coming up and then going back and watching Trump running in 2015, 2016. And I'm like, I wish Trump was the same guy he was back then, but he just seems like a softer version of himself. And he really did present himself as a gentler version. But as soon as he got in, he's this term, he's actually acting like 2016 Trump, whereas in 2016, he acted like the guy he pretended to be in this. It's a really interesting thing to see. Like, he does not give a flying F who's mad at him.
It was smart because it's like, I mean, if you almost had your head taken off by a bullet on live TV, it's just like, all right, how are you going to play this? You can either go raging in there, or you can, as I think he legit believed, like, okay, like, I am ordained by God to clean up the United States of America. And then once he's in that position, he's like, okay, I actually have to do something. It's now or never. Like, if we don't clean this house out now, it's never going to be cleaned out.
Yeah, I think I still am like not sure if this will permanently fix everything, because look, everything he's doing is through executive order, right? So
yeah, it has to be some laws that are done.
So he's coming in, and it seems like there's this big shift, but we saw this last time too. He did a bunch of executive orders, and then the day Biden gets in, literally day one, he undoes every single Trump executive order, even the ones that were like common sense good, and just because it was Trump, right?
Exactly, partisan politics.
The thing that gives me hope is that every one of his confirmation hearings went through, except for Gates, because Gates was, come on, that was bizarre.
Gates was very much so the hard ask in the art of the deal. It was the hard ask to make them flip out. They flipped out. So then he was like, okay, let me get who I really want in there. But I think you're right. Like, ultimately, we have to see some laws pass. But that's why I'm like, if you look at all these interviews that JD is doing in the wings, he's like doing 4 or 5 interviews a week, all these powerful knockout interviews. I'm like, when you look at him, you look at where he's at right now in the 2028 general GOP primary matchups, he's at like 57%.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy.
Yeah, he's going to be, unless he screws up epically.
Yeah, I hope he's the guy. Now, look, we're gonna do a little deep dive on Opus Dei one of these days on Locals.
Yeah, like, what the heck?
We're gonna do a little deep dive into Opus Dei one of these days on Locals. So, it's not all beautiful and pretty, but let's see. Adrian Conway, my friend from England, finally catching a live show. Can you lobby Trump to invade and colonize the UK, please? I think the Trump administration is going to have effects on Europe. Like, I don't think Europe can avoid the things Trump is doing. Trump, like, you guys are going to see a loosening of, I know they just had this law passed in the UK where Apple had to give over security of people's phones. So now they can actually go inside and see your photo rolls. They could go inside. I mean, it's one of the biggest invasion of privacy that I've ever seen, because they don't have a constitution with a right to privacy. Like, that's like the Fourth Amendment for us, right?
Yeah, it is. And that's why I'm like, the UK, you guys have done, I don't know, like, what is your deal, UK? It's like, you guys are just historically known for all of these insane draconian laws going back for forever. I hope the UK, though, improves. And I think that there's a good chance. If you look at the polling right now, again, it's so early because their next general election is mandated to be in 2029. But right now, I'm hopeful, because the Reform Party UK, led by Nigel Farage, is in first place. And it's in first place because of immigration. Like, all of those European countries right now are freaking out over the quote far right because of immigration.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever get a Tom Homan border czar to do deportations.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean? But if you guys can at least halt the flow,
you gotta have kids too. That's the creepy thing. It's like, if they were to halt the flow right now, if they weren't to return to like a Christian understanding of human sexual ethics, where it's like, hey, kids are like a good thing, and like, Caucasian kids, they're not bad just because they're Caucasian. Let's have lots of kids. They start having kids, then maybe they have a chance. But if the most common new baby boy name for the last 5 years in the UK is Muhammad, and only 43% of London is British, only 43%. And there's Sharia courts, Islamic prayers being called off of the UK bridges near Big Ben, all that stuff. It's like, you guys need to get your act together.
Yeah, you got to get your act together. You have to hold, but I do think that there will be a Trump effect. I really do. I think that there's going to be, especially if we start. Look, even what they're doing with Ukraine, telling Europe, like, you guys need to start kicking up if you want. Like, what's strange about Britain is Britain colonized the West, essentially, right? They had the greatest navy of all time. They actually put up a good fight up against America. They brought their armies here through their navy and stuff. They went from that to World War II, not even having a chance. We had to come in and save them. Now they have 60,000 soldiers. Like, that is the extent of their army. They have 60,000. It's like, you guys are done without our support. Like, you're completely dependent on America coming in to save you if something happens. But Trump, it looks like he's basically saying, look, we're not going to save you. Like, we're doing our own thing over here. The rules-based liberal order that came out of World War II is over. Like, there's a new paradigm going on. It's over.
New nationalistic wave going through all of
not even it's more hemispheric, right? Like, Trump is looking at it like, okay, we'll defend our sector of the hemisphere. You guys are going to be on your own. Russia is your problem. And he's trying to at least get that done. I don't know how far that'll go. But like I said, what gives me hope is that all of his nominees went through, right? So in his first term, a bunch of Republicans were like, nope, we're not going to nominate this person. We're not going to nominate this person. This time, they basically said, if you do not put through Trump's nominees, we will primary you.
Yeah, we will primary you. You will be out.
You will be out. And so that means if they're all in line, if they try to pass laws through Congress and the Senate, they might get done, right? So there may be a way to actually put some of these things into law so that they stand and they're not just some edict by a man with executive power. Because like Bobby said, he said, wait, where is it? Let me find it here. I'm someone who voted for Trump all 3 times, and I'm pretty happy with the immediate results. But imagine if someone like Kamala was flexing presidential power like this. Now, the thing is, Biden did flex presidential power like this. He didn't need to do it through executive order. All of the stuff was done behind the shadows. Like, that's kind of the whole thing we're talking about here, with even these liberal podcasts being astroturfed into our arena, right? This is the liberal media complex just changing strategy. So they're no longer on MSNBC and CNN. They're buying up channels with millions of subs, previously had millions of subs, and just putting these characters on and making them seem organic. There's nothing organic about them.
Yeah.
Like,
they're trying to replicate what we've been doing for like a decade.
Absolutely. So if you go back and you check any channel, it should start off, their first video has 100 views, 500 views. Even if it went viral, a couple thousand, it shouldn't. And it should then, it slowly builds and builds. And then you'll have the occasional one that goes viral and they get a bunch more subscribers. Like, there's a natural organic growth to a channel.
Exactly.
There's nothing organic about any of these channels that they put out. I went through and I looked at all of them. Now, we had a Hitchborn on the other day, and we were talking about the U.S. bishops and how they hang on, let me pull this up because wrong one. Hang on, what the hell's going on here? Sorry, guys. All right, so this is the clip. Now, when I see liberals defending the church, I know there's something really crazy going on, because this is these guys. I mean, who are these guys? This is another channel with 3 million subscribers. They came out of nowhere and they're being forced into my YouTube feed, and look at what they're saying.
Million?
I would also say that anybody who's ever spent 5 minutes doing any sort of charity work in or around the Catholic Church will instantly understand that ain't nobody getting rich.
Yeah.
It's like
Not at all.
Every charity drive or initiative that any Catholic church anywhere in America does is done on a shoestring, and it's almost entirely volunteers, and you're like working out of some basement that doesn't have heat, and it's the idea that, anyway, this is like the type of thing I might have expected a Southern Baptist from megachurch to say about Catholics, but instead it was J.D. Vance, who himself is a very devout Catholic. So what happened from that? I mean,
So notice the first they're white males because they're trying to appeal to our demographic, but then number two, as you're probably pointing out, like the fact that you have leftists who do not like the Catholic faith at all, or at least want a watered down version of it, supporting what the U.S. bishops are doing when all the receipts are out there about the corruption of how they've been funneling money, it's truly astounding. It's insane.
So Grover's asking, are they feds? Like, yeah,
could be.
Like, holy CIA plot, Batman. This is 100% the deep state still trying to organize behind the cloak of.
Yeah, these are the newest Harry Sissons. It's like the Harry Sisson is like in and of itself, he has no appeal, no talent for this type of stuff, but yet they funneled money into him. The DNC funneled money into him, bought subscribers, pressured companies to really boot him up. And then there you go. It's not organic like
also,
us. We have to build everything from the ground up.
It's also he enrages the right.
Yeah.
Like he's so annoying and soy that he enrages the right. So they boost his signal too. Like
exactly.
It's the same thing with JoJo from Jers. It's the same thing with that other soy kid. Like all the soy boys on the other side. Like it's just so cringe. But they're so cringe that we can't help but highlight how cringe they are. So we're helping boost their signal. It's not like they have a large liberal audience. 95% of what they get is hate from the right, where we're all what is this garbage?
It's just like it's like a person though who wouldn't watch like a Henry Sisson because he is like that annoying little dweeb. Like these guys, like one has a beard, one's all like dignified in his chair with all these books behind him, i.e., like every Catholic YouTuber, right?
He's
and so
therefore
he's he's the dignified liberal who's apparently really smart.
It's really insane. So all right, so let me see. I do have a couple other I did like actual research yesterday and today. Like I went through digging for clips. Let me see. These are like auto playing. So if you guys want to super chat us, because I did actual work and I think I should be rewarded for that work.
He did.
All right, so there was this clip of, I thought this was actually very interesting. This is a clip of Jen Psaki and Jon Stewart talking about Rogan. And Jen Psaki implies that Rogan is part of some conservative media complex. Because that's what they have. They have a liberal media complex. And Jon Stewart kind of like laughs at her. He's like, what are you even talking about? Like, that's not what they can't seem to grasp about how the Rogan, Theo Von, entertain, it wasn't right wing. It was never politics. What it was just men being men, and it appealed to men. So men are watching things like our show. So they're going to agree with a more masculine version of things. So when you see a guy like Tim Waltz come out, you're like, ew, he's gross. Like he's just gross to me,
Yeah, when they come out, they push him they'll have him wearing a camo hat with a Mountain Dew on his desk, playing video games, going on streamers, being like, guys, look how relatable he is. That's the thing. They use masculinity like a costume, just like they use femininity. Yeah. But I haven't seen this clip, but I bet you anything, without watching, I bet you anything that the reason they're stymied is because they live in an authoritarian world where everything has to be this like, okay, you need this big monster apparatus behind you, and then you force in your ideology. They can't comprehend that there's just a bunch of guys who organically like listening to other guys and then just chit chat about stuff. They just can't comprehend that.
Yeah,
they pop up.
They're just so disconnected from your everyday
guy
person. Like, you're especially guys. Like they're so disconnected from what men are like. Like, there's nothing about. I mean, that they would astroturf this space with a guy who's like, I just got out of yoga. Like, what?
Or Henry Sisson, yeah.
Like, what do you even? That's not the guy you want to go with. I don't know what they're going for, So, all right, let's jump on this clip. This clip's it's pretty interesting.
I'm going to say Democrats. I'm going to say people on the left do not do that the right does very well.
We're going to have to pause this one a couple times because it's 2 minutes long and I really don't want them to pull our video. So
Well,
that works.
Is support within the system each other. I'm serious. Like, and what I mean by this is this, right?
Yeah.
Theo Vaughn appears on Joe Rogan's show, right? He promotes what Joe Rogan's doing, but they all promote all of the things each other are doing and what the elected officials, I guess, are doing too. And the left is a little bit more kind of discombobulated in terms of supporting the different entities on the left. There is
insane.
So, all right.
Are you insane, lady?
That's
first. She's bonkers. She's completely bonkers. You guys had the Biden administration giving active orders to not only mainstream propaganda networks, but also pumping money through the DNC to all of these influencers to do your bidding. But also think about, Anthony, how stupid this is strategically. Millions of people who didn't even vote in this last election still listen to Theo Vaughn, still listen to Joe Rogan. You are what you're doing is they're so stuck and they don't know why they lost, and they continue to blame influencers. That what they're saying is, let's continue to blame influencers to get them right. You're blaming their audiences. You're blaming people that they look up to and they like. It is suicidal politically.
Yeah, I think this whole plan they got going is crazy. This whole clip gets better. So
it's not a left ecosystem that matches the right ecosystem.
But Ailes didn't do that either. It was the principle, the ideological principles, not the party. He and Murdoch the same way. They're promoting an ideological worldview, right? That they believe is correct. And Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan, I think, are different animals than any of this. Like, I wouldn't say I don't think they're part of any machine.
Don't you think they're but they are still in the right wing ecosystem? Wouldn't you agree?
No, I would think they're in. No, I would consider them in a more probably libertarian comedic complex.
Well, at least Jon Stewart recognizes that, right? Because Jon Stewart knows he could go and sit down with Rogan and they'll have a conversation, and it's not going to be like Joe Rogan's not a right winger.
No, he endorsed Bernie Sanders twice.
But even forget that, like, even conservatives, man, like this big tent conservatism, it's bound to fail, guys. Like, it may be good for the moment, and it's like, oh yeah, we got our guy in. Like, I'm sorry, man, we have so many degenerates that we've surrounded ourselves by, and we're not conserving anything. Like,
no, we have a crisis of just asking, like, what is conservatism? And essentially, like, as I've put it, we're stuck between like the old right. And what I mean, like, the old right is like principled conservatism, where it's like faith, family, fatherland. And then the other kind of more neocon, also / like classical liberal wing, which is essentially like, we just want less government and be able to say whatever we want. And it's stuck between those two things. Ultimately, though, Jon Stewart is right. It's like to say that Rogan and Theo Vaughn, which both of them, like, they'll get into politics, but they're fairly just apolitical. That's why he said they're libertarian leaning. It's true. It's like Rogan is into the whole weed thing. I mean, he was endorsed a socialist twice. And he's like, yeah, your candidate happens to be way better than a freaking commie, which is what Kamala was.
Yeah, that's all this is. It's like, if you have guys like Elon Musk who has 13 kids by 4 different women, I mean, you just it shows how they got so insanely bad on the other side that, like, in reality, Trump is 96 Clinton. You know what I mean?
No, that's what I said. Like, for time and time, every time I came on here, I would say that Trump is an 80s, 90s Democrat. He's a business Democrat, and it's better than the alternative of what you could be getting. The real issue, though, and this is what I see, is that the quote right wing, the leaders that are supposed to be the ones leading us at the moment, are not the ones that we can unite around. So it's like, at the moment, like, the church has so many internal fractures that we can't all just say, run to the church. So let's have that as our like base, and then we move out from that, because our base is all messed up. And so we are having to turn to these individuals who aren't as conservative. But what she's doing, right, on this video is she is continuing to demonstrate that the left is in such a hyper echo chamber, because if she genuinely believes that Rogan and Theo Von are these major right wingers, like the left is doomed. Like they are literally shooting themselves in
Yeah,
the
but
foot.
what like, hey, all right, so let's finish out the clip, because I'm we're gonna have to talk about what even is left versus right at this point.
We can.
You know, more along the lines of, and if you watch or listen to their shows, a lot of times it's just pure like goofing off,
Has nothing to do with politics, and oftentimes, but they
almost
are,
entirely.
but they are supportive of the Trump enterprise, is what I mean. So maybe I'm loosely putting them in that category.
I think they are supportive, but not they are not relentless in the Trump enterprise. Like they are not Charlie Kirk. They are not Ben Shapiro. Like they are very different animals. They are not invested in the shit that you get picked up and like go to the headlines of media. But on back.
So what he's saying there, like they get picked up, but the problem is that Joe Rogan will spend an entire episode talking about DMT and aliens, and then he'll mention a 3-minute segment on a clip about something about politics out of a 3-hour show. And
that's
like,
did you see this crazy thing? Yeah,
and that's what goes viral. And these people think his entire show is that, you know,
because they're in an echo chamber. That's the problem. Like that is the problem. The left is, and we can do this in the right though too, for sure. So don't think it's just at the left. But the problem is the left, because wokeism teaches that critical thinking and logic are white supremacy. They've literally openly said this type of crap, that they've retreated into such an echo chamber that as someone put, like a guy who can be like, I want myself and my husband to have an AR-15 and protect marijuana. If they think that's conservatism, it goes to show you just how insane.
But that's kind of where the right is right now, which is what makes me know. Like, so now you have guys like James Lindsay starting to talk about the woke right, and it's just people who manage to get into the right ring. They managed to get into the right-wing conversation by pointing out the insanity that the left was going into, and the right immediately welcomes them in because they mentioned, oh man, the left is going communist, right? So what they're trying to do is reset what the right is. They're trying to play with the Overton window so that what we consider right now is anybody who calls out the insanity of gender ideology and women, you know, men and women's sports, and it's such a trick.
It's the gay guy who's married to his husband and he's calling out transgenderism.
Yeah, it's like gays against trans. Like that's the new right. It's letting what the hell is that freaking trans person? Oh, I don't want to get banned on YouTube.
Say it, Anthony. Say it.
What is the troon that's always on Tim Pool? The freaking
I know who you're talking about. I forget what her name is. Is
her
it a him
name?
Or her? Is it a her?
Blair White. It's Blair.
Is it a guy
Blair
or girl?
White.
That's the problem. I don't even know like introduction.
It's a guy.
It's a guy. Okay, then I don't know what his name is.
And the right holds him up like
Blair.
Just,
yeah.
It's just so bananas. It's like, well,
the problem is that so it's like America. We've never had like a classical right wing in the United States. Like our right wing has been what Europe would have called the left in the 17th, 18th century. So it's like the left. So it's without boring people, it's like the whole term right and left wing came out of the French Revolution. In France, they had this thing called the National Congress, and the people that sat on the right side of the room supported the king. The people that sat on the left side of the room wanted to have a republic. In our context, because we rebelled from a king, right? It's always just been republic. So the idea of the right wing in America, what the problem is that on the one hand, half of the people are interested in liberty, but in like a liberty not joined to religion. So it's like, okay, I have the right to marry another dude if I want, you know, but I'm not imposing that upon you. Whereas the other half of the right is based in Christianity, and it says, well, no, there's such a thing as the natural law. Oh, thanks, bro. I appreciate that. There's such a thing as a natural law. God is real, you know, and a nation has to serve him. It's the whole Christ is king wing, if you will, of the right at the moment. So the problem is that we need to kind of fundamentally hammer these issues out inside of the right wing. But I think with what you will see, and I think Gen Z is doing this, When I look at Gen Z, all the Gen Z males are like, no immigration, Christ is king. We need to ban pornography. We need to ban transgenderism. That's the type of language. But all the people who are in the mainstream right are like, well, as long as you're not forcing it upon me or forcing me to change my language.
Well, that was the propaganda we were fed, especially like Gen X and older millennials.
Yeah.
The crap we were fed. And that just goes to show you how important propaganda is, and that's why they're doing everything they are doing. And this whole show is about this, right? This whole show is about everything they are doing to try and propagandize people. They're trying to get their bearing back. They're trying to figure out this strategy, how we're going to combat Trump, and the way they're going about it is still absurd. But propaganda is such a freaking important tool. It's like the stories that we're told have an effect on us. Like I find it. Look, like we forget how instrumental Jeffrey Sachs was in the open borders crisis, in the going to the Vatican and pushing through the Green New Deal and writing Laudato Si with Pope Francis, and actually starting this whole mess we're in. But then he goes and sits down with Tucker Carlson, and because I happen to agree with him on the Ukraine stuff, you now kind of forget that Jeffrey Sachs is an evil villain.
No, exactly. People have
evil villain.
It's one of two things. I think this is where you just have to think with the virtue of prudence, right? Where it's like, okay, on the one hand, you can't forget that an individual did these bad things or promoted these bad things because they now come and do something that you like. At the same time, you can also say, well, I can appreciate what you like, right? The things that we can agree on. But my point is that, and I think you're also saying this, is that conservatism, right? Whatever that means in the United States, has to be something where it's like, okay, yeah, here are our principles, and this is what we hold to: faith, family, fatherland. It's like Christ is king. We have this faith, right? We're pro-family, and a family is a husband and a wife who have children for life. And then our fatherland is the United States of America. We actually have a historical tie to Europe. We have a historical tie to traditions and things like that. If you divorce America from that and you make America, it's the land of whatever you want it to be, as long as you're not hurting someone else, then it blows up and it turns into what we're going to.
I'm worried about. I'm just worried about the mix of technology into everything, and us as people losing our connection to others. I'm very worried about the loss of culture, very much. I think the whole immigration crisis was meant to disrupt American culture. I don't think it was ever about votes. I think anybody who thought oh, they're bringing these in and they're going to register them as Democrats, that was
it was like an added on benefit.
Correct. Yeah, but the actual purpose of invading a country with foreigners is to disrupt the unity of the culture. It's to make it so that we have nothing in common with our neighbor, and that you can't all gather together for something, and that's the actual purpose of it. So there's still, we're going to have this issue where because we don't really produce anything in America. We have a lot of ingenuity. We have a lot of creative people. We've always invented things. We've had a very inventive spirit to our country, right? Especially if you go back, I always go back. I've watched this documentary 3 times, a 10-part series on the West. And it's when you see the whole, what was it called? It was westward expansion. And it was the whole, the gold rush and all these things. You see these Americans who see a problem before them and they have to invent something. The guy who invented barbed wire.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how big of a deal that was?
It was so controversial. Yeah.
Put barbed wire around your property so your animals can't escape and people can't just get on your property any way they want. That guy made millions of dollars selling this wire, right? It's there's so many creative and inventive people in America, but we don't actually have a way to produce anything because we've shipped manufacturing out to China and all these other places, India and
Mexico, everywhere
else. So I do hope that Trump Okay, so that'll lead into to Laura. I'm interested in more emphasis on tariffs in order to eliminate the need of income, property, and estate taxes. I don't think that's actually the point of tariffs. Like the point of tariffs are if you're manufacturing something outside of the US, you're getting a tariff on it. So as soon as we threatened a 25% tax on Canada, I saw a couple of companies came out and they're like, oh, we'll just move our manufacturing to America to avoid the tariff.
That's the long-term business plan. And then Laura's point would be the trickle down benefits to the civilians. It would be like, because all of these companies are moving here, we can potentially not only like boost your income, but also for companies that won't because they're partisan to say the Chinese government or something, we might be able to fund large swaths of the United States with tariffs. Your point about immigration, though, is dead on, because I've been saying this for years now. The United States of America's biggest issue is this massive amount of illegal immigration. Let me read this. What is it? I would like to thank the U.S. for inventing Ronald McDonald, baby showers, Halloween, trick or treat, the KKK, and the Humburger. Well, but see that's I guess it depends on how you look at it. Because
no, that's so American culture is innovation and consumerism. No, but that's the point of bringing the foreigners in, right? American culture.
That's I would say that's not even American culture. I'd say that's what they left us when people sold us out to foreign countries. Because here's the problem. Americans, in my view, in Nick's view, are not just an amalgamation of random people with zero culture here. I believe that Americans are like a distinct group, a country, a nation, a people, a tribe, if you will. And we do have a culture. Our culture has just been called white supremacist for decades now by commies. That's one issue. But then two, also on top of that, it's like we do have a large potential that we can give to the United States. But one of the worst ways that the left destroys this ingenuity of our people is by just saying, well, America has no culture. You guys are just a bunch of random amalgamation of freaks, essentially.
Well, in fairness, Adrian was kidding. He wasn't being serious.
I ain't attacking Adrian. It's like, while we're on the subject, may as well bring it up. But yeah.
No, so American culture always had a very Christian ethos. Now, we didn't have a united cultus because it was thousands of different Protestant denominations, but
Manifest Destiny,
there absolutely Manifest Destiny, and there was this very Christian ethos, right? We always had Christian morality here, and it wasn't until really, I mean, when you get into it, it's like the invention of Hollywood, and I mean, as technology progresses, they use it to subvert your culture. I mean, it's just what happens, right? Started with the printing press, and that's how they got the Protestant Reformation to happen. Then once you start getting into radio and television, like television is the way they upended American morality through television.
It was huge. And also, because it's like, you probably know, Tim Flanders has talked about this multiple times on his show, but it was called like the Holy League or something, where it's like the Catholic Church in the United States had millions of Catholics pledge, we're not going to go watch these immoral movies. Because if you go and look at any old catechism, they say don't go to old evil movies.
And not just that. All right, so the Holy League actually stopped Hollywood from producing like
bad stuff,
films for a very long time. Like they were very successful in halting the production of these things because they threatened a boycott. And they were like, all right, we're not going to make this yet. But then once the sexual revolution happens, it just got way out of hand. And Catholics were at that point themselves propagandized through television. Look, even like when I said the Gen X and the millennials were watching shows like Friends and Will and Grace and Seinfeld. You think nothing of these shows, right? But a show like Friends, you're watching a show of single late 20s, early 30s people going around and sleeping around with random people. And it's a comedy show. And it's the most immoral, disgusting cultural rot you can imagine because it's given out as if it's PG-13. Exactly. You know, it could be on broadcast network television at 8 p.m. on a Thursday. And it's showing these people getting well into their 30s, unmarried, no children. It was propaganda in League of Decency. It was propaganda for the millennial and Gen X to go out and just, I don't need no man. I'm just going to be single and live in my apartment until blah, 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 you know. And it has led to the cultural rot that we're in today. And that's why
Yeah.
I say, even with allowing a guy like Elon Musk in, allowing James Lindsay, all these other people to be part of the conservative movement, even the things Trump is doing. Trump is doing a lot of good things for the country, right? But none of it has to do with morality. It's like, all right,
Yeah,
you got
very little.
men out of women's sports. Cool, great. But none of it has to do with legislating morality. And
Yeah, but that's the issue, is that like ultimately we're stuck between like a hammer and an anvil when it comes to that issue. Because it's like, I mean, shoot, you see a governor just try coming out with like, hey, let's put the 10 Commandments in schools. Oh no, that's forcing religion. Secular is like the popes before the council over and over and over again. If you go and you read those old manuals or encyclicals, they'll call secularism an insanity, and they'll say the reason it is because secularism is the default religion of a society with no God. And it's true. It's just self-worship. It's like, okay, if you don't have a God, then what do you make your final end? Yourself, your pleasure, your own success. And so that's where things can become really dangerous. But
no, look,
it's crazy.
even okay, so if you actually cared about your nation, you need you need it to be Christian. Like a nation without God is doomed to fail. Like, I don't care what anybody says. It's just doomed to fail. There is no such thing as a successful secular nation. So if you're not going, forget the 10 Commandments. Like, that's just such a simple, basic one. Of course, the 10 Commandments. But they go for that. They go for the 10 Commandments because it's such low-hanging fruit.
Exactly. It's just something you'd think would be like easy. Like, don't you guys
it's
agree?
low-hanging fruit. Like, it should be teaching Christian history. Like,
letting your people,
letting your people understand. Like, there should be no history apart from Christian history. It should be your people's identity, understanding how you came to be, how Christians upended the pagan world and gave us the world we have today. Like that, if you're like, when our kids are going to public school and they learn history, they're learning, and they learn the history of religion, they're learning Christianity on a very bad, like, they're getting a very warped sense of what Christianity is. And it's taught as one among a bunch of different religions. And they make the kids learn about Buddhism, and they make the kids learn about and it's like, hey, these are just a plethora of things you could choose from. And
even our clergy does that. Like, I don't know if you and I'll talk about it today. We might talk about it next week. But the podcast that I sent you guys. Oh, why am I forgetting his name?
Oh yeah.
The George, whatever his last name is.
George Janko had a whole bunch of different Christians on, and they called themselves the Christian Avengers. It was the most cringe thing ever. And they had like a round table, and they just started talking about all different doctrines. It was so bad. It was
really, really bad. But one of the clips that was in there, I forget what, I think it was Ruslan. I think Ruslan was talking, and he said that he had asked Catholic priests if he could pray to Charles Spurgeon, who is a famous Baptist preacher, and they said yes. Like, see, the problem is this, Anthony, you and I, we know our faith. The issue is that, like, when you and I are like, there shouldn't be like Christianity amongst many religions. But like, isn't that the mainstream of what our own church does at the moment? It's like, you know, and I don't even have to beat that war drum. But I actually do have news on that real quick. It's 2 sentences long, but what's his name? Hitchborn actually put this out about an hour ago now. But this is from Rome Reports. So this is an actual Rome organization. The headline reads, "The Holy Father's condition remains critical. This morning he experienced a respiratory crisis that required oxygen. Blood
transfusions.
Blood tests showed anemia and
thrombosis.
Thrombopotensia, I don't know, which led to a blood transfusion. He remains alert but more weakened." This sounds a lot like the JP2 stuff that you guys told me about.
Well, look, he's 88 years old, so he's in critical condition. Like, the guy, he had a severe respiratory asthmatic attack last night, right? He had to get a blood transfusion because he's got anemia. Okay, so you know what? This is a good lead into locals. Let's go over to locals, as I want to talk about this, because I think that there could be, because my wife just asked me this. She was like, oh, who's the next pope going to be? And I'm like, well, you really can't tell. It could be, you don't know who's trying to influence the conclave right now. You don't know what cardinals are getting together and trying to, like, you don't know. You don't know how much CIA influence is in it. You don't know what's going on, but it's possible that there's some kind of
Is
maybe
locals on right now? That's what they're saying.
Oh, is locals? Yeah, it should be. Yeah. Local stream isn't working? It looks like it is.
If it's working, it's working though. So
Let me see.
it's you, Riley. It's just you.
Let me check. Let me make sure. Yeah, like there's a possibility. Let me see. Oh, wait, there's no way to join it.
Yeah, I don't think Luke Cardinal.
Wait, yeah, join stream. Locals is
live
working.
stream
Yeah,
hasn't started. Some people are saying it's. Oh wait, no, they're all saying it hasn't started yet. Not
so
started.
Ordinary Catholic is commenting. I don't think that's who we think it is.
No, I don't think that's who it is.
I don't think that's who we think it is.
No, I don't think it's her.
I
don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. So, it says stream hasn't started. Bobby says. Huh.
Yeah, everyone's saying it's not working. I mean, we can talk about it here. We can give them a freebie.
I'm looking at people in locals.
They're saying this not working.
They're like, if it's not working, how the hell am I watching it right now? And Bobby just texted me and he's showing me live stream has not started yet. All right, we'll stay on YouTube. We'll stay on YouTube for everybody.
Everyone here saying it hasn't worked. Everyone on local says it.
Okay, so Mrs. C saying her ? Yeah, Ordinary Catholic is this crazy lady.
That's not how Catholicism works.
Catholic. So we saw Rob sent us a screenshot earlier and said Ordinary Catholic is this he's okay, so he says no, I'm a random guy that's a member of the Ordinary.
It's a random dude. Dude, you gotta change your name, man. Gotta change your name.
Who are you? Who do you think you are? That you're just too good for Jesus.
That's what it was. Oh man.
Yeah, you might want to change your name, man. I don't know. Someone said in the stream,
ordinary means ordinariate is what it is.
Ordinary. Gotcha.
Yeah, ordinary.
Okay. I didn't hear that part.
But,
someone
right,
said in the stream. Someone said in the stream, Cardinal Sarah for Pope. As awesome as that would be, it's not going to happen. He's one person I will say that will not happen because even though he's like too old to be elected Pope, or not elected, excuse me, to vote to be Pope, I don't think he'll be the one.
He said, "No one take Ordinary Catholic. Be right back." Yeah. Oh man, it's a hopeful thing.
It would be awesome to a degree because he's just so holy.
Yeah, that's it. Like, okay, so hopes aside for dogma and stuff like that, like to have a holy pope, it would be amazing. And I don't care what anybody says, Cardinal Sarah is a holy man. Like,
yeah, he's a very,
it'd be like even man. A Sarah would elevate Schneider to the cardinalate. Like, you have to think about the implications of it. You know what I mean? There's implications with a Cardinal Sarah. A Cardinal Sarah would elevate men to the cardinalate who could then become papabile because he's an older guy and we don't know how much time he has left, but he would also stop the immigration talk. He was, oh man, please, Lord, please. But it's just not going to happen, like Nick said.
Sarah would be good. Burke would be really good, even though I don't agree with his society takes, but he would be good. Pizza Baller would be pretty good.
Pizza Baller would be good. Look, Christian Wagner's been going through some of the Cardinals, and yeah, he's been going through some of them, and it's like, yeah, there's guys that are on the outskirts that you don't know about that are definitely not. Look, we gotta hope that if there is a placeholder, it's gonna be. Look, it could be a Sarah get back. It could be like you think it's impossible, but first off, you don't know. They got Bennett, they got Ratzinger in, right? And Sarah is a Ratzinger type figure.
But back then it's like the Overton window in the church has moved so much that like when Ratzinger got in, as good as he is, like in that quote that you read the other day, it's like I don't canonize the guy because it's like, I mean, he was good in many ways, but I mean he by pre-conciliar standards was pretty left wing.
Look, okay. The other thing is, yeah, that's actually a good idea. I was thinking about that too, Bobby. We should get him on and just do cardinal profiles. So I told Nicole today when Nicole asked me, she's like, because we've read that report of Francis's health,
yeah,
and she's like, so like, what does that mean? Like, who's And I'm like, there's no way. Like anyone you think is Papabile going in,
ain't gonna
it's
be.
never the guy elected. It's just never ever the case, right? Please get John Farrell annulment proof on your show to discuss NFP and annulments for single married Catholic men.
Heck no.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna have it.
Heck no.
I'm not. There's just certain conversations that I just don't care to have. Like,
It's not even that conversation. It's the reason I said heck no wasn't even because of NFP. Like that discussion in of itself could be interesting, but he's just kind of a
I don't know who he is.
Kind of a schizo.
I don't know who he is. So
he's gonna flame our comment section because I said that. He's gonna be like, "How dare you use systematic heretic?"
Yeah, I just don't know who he is. But so my wife saw what was happening. She's like, "So what does that mean?" And it's like, whoever you think is going to go in ends up never being the guy, right? Like, oh, he's Papabile. They do it every conclave. This is who's going to get, and it's never the guy you think, which is why Nick is basically saying it's not going to be Sorrell. Like, you wish it was, but you thinking it's never going to be him.
Yeah, like I'm praying that like the ones that people are saying the most, I forget what his name is, but he's the guy they've dubbed the Asian Francis.
It's not going to be him.
Like
Taglia.
And I'm like, yeah, please make it sound like it's gonna be him, and it ends up not being him. Because I mean, just the Francis II, who's so much younger. Oh my gosh, that would suck. That would be bad.
It would be awful, right?
I'd be like, great, Anthony, you and I get to do another 20 years of streams together, because the church can't get her act together.
You don't know who it's going to be. You're going into this thing. You don't know what campaigns are going on. You don't know. You don't know what. You don't know what. Like what pressures are being put on the conclave. Like we don't know how much. So the idea that Trump comes in and he's starting to do all these things in the deep state and getting people out of there, like that might relieve some of the deep state pressure on some of these cardinals. Like the thing is, I don't think it takes that much pressure.
It could.
Elevation of certain men is the pressure, right? Like it's not like the deep state has spies inside the conclave, and it's just the whole idea of, hey, elevate this guy to the put McElroy in and put Wilton Gregory in. Like that is the pressure. It's you don't need to actually blackmail anybody. You just get guys that have such a distorted view on Catholicism. That in itself is the pressure. So these guys are all the ones going in, and they're the ones voting now. But at the same time, maybe there's a hope that
here's the thing. I could say, yeah. Well, I'm hoping there is Francis fatigue too, and we are an international church, so that's why. But like, I'm thinking, it also wouldn't surprise me if, because of what Trump is doing when it comes to the USCCB bishops, if the mentality of the cardinals, the liberals especially, are like, okay, guys, let's push forward the most radical person we can get, so that we can stand up to all these right-wing governments that are popping up over the world. I could see something like that too. And so it's like, all right, which one would you rather have, Anthony? The Tugle guy, Supich, or McElroy? So it's like, oh, brother.
Yeah, that's a scary
I think I prefer Tugle of all those three.
The other thing I'm seeing is people saying that Francis is going to resign, right? So now Francis is very sick. And
I don't even know if he's alive right now, in all honesty.
There's the possibility that he gets out of the hospital next week and he makes a resignation. Now, I hope to God he doesn't. I don't think the papacy should ever be resigned. Like I think that's a bad precedent. Benedict, what he did in resigning the papacy was terrible. Like it just, I'll never forgive him for it, But there's always the temptation on Francis's part to see if his synodal church sticks it out, right? If the synodal church continues. And with him being alive and resigning, that's also a pressure added to the conclave. Like, I almost don't think the conclave is free if he's still alive, because people could be worried about
like their roles and stuff like that.
Now, the other thing is, can you possibly imagine dealing with Francis Vacantists?
That would be, honestly, though, amazing. That would, like, in a comedic way, it would be absolutely hilarious. I'd love that.
I will tell you. Okay, the other thing is we have to. The Nick Cavazos Twitter handle is not actually Nick, guys.
No, it's not me. For like the
but
three
if Francis resigns, I can promise you that account will become a Francis Vacantis. That account will become a Francis Vacantis account, and it will go full force on Francis's resignation was invalid. I promise that's where it will go. But right now, it's a modernist Thomist account, which is the total opposite of Nicholas, which he wants me to change it, so I'm going to change it. But it was very funny while it lasted, Nick.
It was. I personally am fine with it, but it was just I kept getting a zillion and one of you guys blowing up my own messages, being like, "Bro, someone's hacked into your stuff and made something fake." And I was like, "Guys, it's the same channel that was saying stuff about Deacon Jim for months."
I have to go through some of the things I tweeted under your name and face. Like, it's some of the funniest. Only because it's
the computer. Pull it up in the computer so they can see this crap.
Okay, let's see. Let's go through
if you
it,
can, because
I can.
Honestly, some of it was hilarious.
All right, hold on. Let me find it. Let's see. How do I do this? I gotta go back to the homepage, then search, and I think it was mod
Thomist. Yeah.
Here we go. I got it. Okay, let's see. All right. All right, we're gonna go through this with you guys.
What a background that you had over the photo.
Okay, hang on, let me pull it up. All right, so whoa, somebody put a bad word. Okay, all right, so Ryan Katzer Rivera had a baby. This is very lovely, but Catholics must remember not to breed like rabbits. Wait, I said the Pope Respecter was a genius. Let's see. All right, so somebody said, all right, so wait, we got to go into this one. All right, so I put, I can't believe what's happening in our world, thinking of better days when America had a real Catholic president. And somebody's been sending me the most amazing Photoshops of Nick. Like, he's in the mix of this thing. And somebody wrote, heretics are not Catholic. So I wrote, Trump supporters are not Catholic. Like, and the reason it's funny is because it's Nick, and obviously Nick would never say anything like that.
If I did, someone's trying to kill me, man.
All right, this is a good one. Trads hate that the Iran's position is actually an organic development of the liturgy and the unique expression of the Roman Rite. It's a mortal sin to not hold hands during the Our Father.
I'm the one male in that entire group. That's a good one.
This one set people up more than anything. We'll be doing, you and Father Casey will be doing an episode on why young men need to understand the importance of feminism in the future church.
You know what's crazy about that photo? I've had like 20 people reach out to me and they're like, "Nick, are you a Freemason?" Because the way I'm holding my hands in the photo, and these are like real people, but they're just schizos. They're the schizo trads who are like, "You are a Freemason." My chapel priest, who's independent and no bishops ordained him, told me so. And you're like, all right, chill out, lady.
Jimmy Aiken is the only Catholic apologist willing to discuss the reality of a superior race of aliens evolving on other planets. I suppose
like
Bishop
1000%. Honestly, send me that photo. That's a good photo. I like that photo.
Okay. One of the first ones I put out was, does anybody want to discuss Vatican II?
Like the hermeneutic of continuity.
Does anyone want to discuss the hermeneutic of continuity? It's all just silliness, but yeah, I'm gonna change it over.
I think you should change it over to who I suggested. I'm not gonna say on here, but I think that would actually be very funny.
I think there's possibilities here. It could be a new patriarchy Hannah, right? There could be there's a few ways I could go with it.
I think the creator I told you, because again, I don't want to spoil it to the audience.
Yeah, don't spoil that one.
I think that one would be really funny.
If I do that one, I have to delete all past tweets. Because I really have to be inconspicuous on that one, because that'll ruffle some feathers.
But the memes they could go with it, you know what kind of photos I'm talking about, would be amazing.
It'll be feet photos. If you know, you know.
That's Anthony's one clue to where we're going.
That's it. The only clue I'm giving you guys. Somebody say the Jimmy Aiken one confused me. All right. I mean, we did an hour and 20. All right. So also what I told Nicole was, if something does happen to Francis, I mean, I'm basically going to spend my days gathering news and then coming home and jumping on air. Like, it's going to be, we're going to be doing daily shows, I would think. This is fun. I share your sense of humor. Thank you, Patrick. All right, we'll stay on. I don't know. I have no more videos to play. We'll just keep shooting the crap, you know? Yeah. So I told her, like, if something happens to Francis, you know, I'm going to be gathering news all day and then coming home and we'll get on and we'll jump on. I would love to have the finances to do that. That would be amazing. But I mean, it's just, we're not there. Like,
no, not yet.
We don't make any money here, guys. Like, literally make no money here. It's not, I don't know how guys, I guess, well, you know, we're splitting it between me and Rob, then we pay you a little bit every month. It's like, I guess guys that do it on their own can make a living doing this. I don't see this show ever being our living. Like, it's not, you know.
No, not unless we were to move over to, I mean, all the advice Joe McClane gave me, it truly changed.
I would have to dedicate myself full time to it. That's first off, right? Like, doing it twice a week it would have to be a full-time job. Matt Fradd can do it because Matt Fradd has first off, we don't know how many people sponsor him. Like, we don't know how many if he has backers. I have no idea. I don't know. You don't know.
Yeah, he's such a big name. Like, even before Pints with Aquinas, he was a huge name.
He's got 1 million subs on YouTube. I mean, his locals channel alone has to be. I mean, the guy's making significant money. Like, we have, I think, 680 local subs, and that's not like 680 people pay every month. That's like some of those people a year ago paid for the year already. So, like, some months we make decent money, and then some months we make hardly anything. It's too sporadic. So it's, you know, we're nowhere near having an on-location Rome reporter. Let's just put it that way. It's just not in the cards anytime.
Which is why you guys should like, subscribe, and share. Because in all honesty, one of the things I've learned from YouTube is, honestly, if you just leave a comment, like, not in the chat, but like when we post the video, and then share. Those are the 3 big ways. Subscribing, honestly, like, we appreciate it, but in and of itself, it doesn't spread the word as much.
No, it doesn't. What it does is it gives your channel credibility to get guests on. Exactly. Like, that's what subscribers do, right? But the likes and the comments in the video after it's posted, not the chat, but the comments after the video is posted, what happens is YouTube sees there's engagement on your video, and people are, like, really arguing about, like, what you posted, and YouTube pushes it out because it knows it's getting engagement. So, like, if I look on the analytics of the channel, the Pope Benedict clip, which I kind of wish Rob. Here's the thing, like, Rob's using a new program and he feeds into it. He's like, hey, just give me a 5 to 10 minute clip on in this video, and it'll cut out a 5 to 10 minute clip. The Pope Benedict clip we put out, like, right underneath it, it says, nice, more regular viewers are engaging with this video, helping to increase its reach. Like, YouTube tells you, like, the more engagement you get, the more it increases its reach. I think that clip should have been longer, and I think it should have ended when we read the last part of it. It kind of just gives, like, the main part of the prophecy I read, and then Hitchborn, like, it's only 7 minutes long. It should have been like 12 minutes long, I think, because I think there was good stuff after that. But you hope that people saw that and then click the link to watch the full video, and it helps, because that original video, the USCCB's addiction to deep state money, I have never seen one of our videos get so few views.
Exactly. And I think I know
in
why.
Years.
Yeah, it was honestly like, but
the mention of the word.
Yeah, it was the mention of the word. And then also I saw a few people in the comments that were like, I did not even have this pull up. And so I was like, yeah, I think it was like a certain word was said. I saw the live count just stagnated. And then afterward, the views were like, I remember when I click off, I usually look at how many views we got. It was like in the hundreds. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, usually. So by the time we get off locals, typically
2 to 3.
Typically you'll look after locals and it'll be like 1,700, 2,000, because it just takes time for the thing to register. So, like, a good video we do when I get off and I go check, it'll be over 2,000 views. That one had like 700. I was like, that's bad. So bizarre for like a Thursday night show. Like, that never happens. But it was just from the title alone and the subject matter. They don't want us talking about it. You know, even this one, talking about politics, like, they don't look, they're astroturfing with what they are, right? So, you know, they're trying to get in the algorithm to push left-wing politics. If you're doing right-wing politics,
it's bad.
It's not going to go good in the algorithm. So we have to be, but we also want to talk about interesting stuff. So you guys, like, hit the notification bell. And, you know, look, we stream every Tuesday and Thursday night. Like, Tuesday and Thursday night, 8 p.m. That's when we stream. So, you know, if you don't see us come up on the feed, just check Tuesdays and Thursday nights, go to our channel, and we're usually going. Paul, okay. What do you guys think for what do you guys do for hobbies? What's your favorite thing to do?
Well, you know what Anthony's is.
Mine, well, in the summer it's the
His
boat. In the
second-time
winter,
job.
in the summer it's the boat. In the wintertime, it's snowboarding. Typically, yeah, it's hard because I have expensive hobbies.
Yeah, I guess I would honestly say I don't know if I really have hobbies. I'm just genuinely so busy between school, work, just trying to like improve myself when it comes to getting ahead on what I like to do. But if I had to pick anything, I'd say probably either firearms, something involved with firearms. I love going to the range and doing stuff like that. And if not that, some creative writing. I like writing.
Somebody said, what do you think about the angel of the Lord being Christ? Sam Shamu was basically saying, if you deny this, you're a terrible Christian. I think that's a translation thing. I would think the angel of the Lord, the messenger of the Lord. And I don't know the exact verse he's talking about, but the messenger of the Lord would probably be Christ. But I don't know.
Typically, it's like a thing. I remember this is an old thing. It's the theme is that when you see in scripture, when it says the angel of the Lord, that it's referring to Christ. I think that there's, of course, some validity to it, for sure.
I do too, Molly. I like the fact that it was still a small channel, because you all like, even when you have 300 people watching live or 400 people watching live, like I can still watch people's comments. When you start, like I tried, like when you watch a big channel and they have thousands of people watching live, like you can't even keep up with the comments. They're going so fast. It's like, how do you even engage with your audience at that point? I don't mind being a small channel. Like it's at a point now where it's worth doing because we make enough money that it makes it worth doing. Like the first 2 years were extremely difficult because it was just dumping time and money into a thing and not seeing a return on it. We're finally at a point now where all the programs we pay for, StreamYard, the clips thing, all the equipment, like if I need a microphone, cool, I have enough money that I made from the show to go buy a microphone. You know what I mean? It's like, so it makes it worth it in that aspect. So it's something we'll continue doing. Like it's at a point now where it's like, all right, it does make us enough money where it's worth coming and doing. It's a job, but we have fun, you know.
And honestly, realistically, if we keep at this, I could easily see us getting like we're gonna hit 20K soon.
I think
I don't know
week.
what your next week. I don't know what your predictions are for like this whole year, but I could easily see us, if we were to work hard, getting 50.
I'm hoping. Look, the clips that Rob's doing is revolutionizing it, right?
It is. It's helping a lot.
The thing is, okay, so the way we used to do clips was I would have to go back and rewatch the stupid show, and I would try to find things that I thought were interesting, and it was always like it would pick up in the middle of a sentence and it would end off on a sudden end, and they were horrible clips. Like I just picked things that I thought would be good. And then I would send it to Rob and I'd be like, dude, can you make a thumbnail and set this to go? And then sometimes Rob would forget to do it. And it was like a pain in the ass for him. Now there's the AI programs are like, you just feed your show into the AI program and it kind of breaks the clips up for you. So then all Rob has to do is set it to stream, make the thumbnail. It was hard for me to go back and watch all these shows. Like I'm at work and I like, who the hell wants to watch yourself talk? It's
so much work manually doing it by yourself.
It's a lot. Like basically the AI program made it so that we don't need to hire someone to do it, you know, because we were really getting to a point where it's like your channel doesn't, like people don't want to sit for like we're on now for an hour and a half. People are not going to click a video if it's an hour and a half. The attention span is so short now. People want 5-6 minute videos. They just do. The 7-minute videos, they're not going for an hour and a half conversation. They see it and it's like it intimidates them because they're like, well, I have a 10-minute car ride. I'm not going to get myself involved in a
even the big names, like even like a 3-hour Carlson interview. It's like he does better with clips, and the people who do like watch the entire thing, it's going to be very few of them. It's going to be people who are dip in and out, or they'll go and watch clips. Or
you know what I've
like
been seeing a lot of guys do? I know Jimmy Dore does this. I know Ruslan does this. What they do is their live show, they do live. So you can comment and participate. Then they take the live show down, so you can't even watch the full video, and they just release clips. So I don't know if that's the way to go with it. Where you guys, if you're lucky enough to catch the live show, you'll see the whole thing, but otherwise it comes down. and then you just get clips, and then maybe a week later you release the full episode. But I don't like doing that.
We could play around with it just because it's like, I mean, we want to have a sense of community, but also at the same time, we don't want to just be stuck stagnant. That's the thing. Is like YouTube is always just it's evolving, if you want to use that word, and so it's just like you kind of have to keep up with it.
Well, Bobby, all right. So I think a lot of the people that check out the show regularly, like you guys, just like our show. So it doesn't matter what topic we're covering. Like we have a very big base audience that it doesn't matter what we're talking about, they're going to jump on and they're going to watch it, right? The clips, what they do is, right, they get somebody interested, they'll go back and watch the full video. It gets new viewers, because what'll happen is somebody will watch a clip of us talking about the Benedict XVI prophecy, and that'll be the first introduction to us.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll click it, but then our show will end up in their algorithm, and then another one of our clips will come up, and then what happens is it gets people kind of, hey, I kind of like these guys, they're not too bad, like, yeah. And then they'll come and watch the live show when it comes on. It's not true. If you cover MASH again, I'm out.
Dude, that was honestly, that thumbnail Rob made was the most epic thumbnail that I've ever seen, at least for me. It's very subjective, but I love that conversation. It was fun.
What is this? The Chosen Sleuth makes live streams members only. I don't think I'd want to do that. I mean, I guess that's a way to go about it. I think that's what people are doing. It's like, but not even members, subscribers only. So what I made Rob do is, if you guys want to comment, I told him switch it to only subscribers can comment on the live stream, because there's a lot of people that watch the live stream and they're not subscribed. So that'll force people to subscribe. I don't know. Look, we're still trying to figure this stuff out. Most of it is just us doing what we're doing right now, just having conversations. Yeah. It's like, I don't.
Mm-hmm. I think in the future, yeah, we'll figure some way to evolve. Because I mean,
all right. So I came up with a good idea for a bit. If you're a new podcaster and you want your show to be featured, send me a 3-minute clip of your show and we'll play it on our show and we'll critique it. So there's because if it sucks, we'll just lambaste them, right? But if it's good, it's like I want to help guys that are doing a good job get
if it's good, you might come on.
Right. That'll be it, right? So if you send me a 3-minute clip and it's horrible, like, we're gonna have a heyday making fun of you. But even bad press is good press. Like, it's gonna be, you're featured on a bigger show, right? Like, we're not huge, but we're bigger. And that's actually how you look. The way our show even got to the point where it's at is you have to do it regularly. So like in the beginning, I was like we were gonna do it once a week. I go, Rob, we got to step it up to twice a week. And it was like, oh man, that's gonna be a lot. But the way we actually got into the algorithm was by getting bigger shows to come on as guests, right? Exactly. So I have a few of these newer guys that they're on my radar. They're trying to start a show and they're like, have me on your show. It's like, you're not coming on my show. I'll come on yours. Yeah. Like, I'll come on yours. You can have me on as a guest, but you're not coming on. Like, I'm not gonna make my audience endure some guy who what am I even talking to you about?
That's like, so wild, honestly.
I don't even know who you are.
Like, whenever I started mine, I invited people to mine. I was never the person who was like, bring me on your show. Because, like, I mean,
so Bobby found us from the clip of us defending Holdsworth from Lofton. Like, that was his first introduction to it. And that show was so legendary because it had Matt Fradd in the comments. It had Holdsworth was in the comments. Kennedy Hall was in the comments. Mike Lewis was in the comments. Like, that show was one of my favorite we've ever done because it was like the way you unify Catholicism is trashing Lofton. That was such a fun freaking show to do. But yeah, it's the same reason Fradd doesn't have me on, right? Like, he came on our show and he would come on again. Matt Fradd texted me, like, I had me and him were texting each other yesterday, but he still hasn't asked me to come on. But I'm not mad at him for that, honestly. Like, everybody's like, oh, have Anthony on. It's like, what is he going to talk to me about? Like, I don't have a book I wrote. I don't like what.
Yeah, because it's like If we
are we
three
gonna
were to go up
discuss?
to Steubenville, like I actually thought about this not too long ago. Like if the three of us were to go up to Steubenville to do an interview with him, it couldn't be like, or wherever he's living now in Florida or wherever, he couldn't just have us sit around like facing him. Like that would be so un-us. It would be us in the cigar lounge, like in a circle chatting. That's what that episode would have to look like.
Well, all right. So even if he just had me on, right? Like I don't even know. Like I guess the conversation could go to us growing up in the JP2 generation, and but like that conversation's been had so many times. Like, what is he gonna have me on to talk about? Like, I don't have like a thing, right? Like I never wrote a book. Like he just had Eric Ibarra on, and it's like, yeah, well, Eric is the guy you go to if you want to talk about orthodoxy versus Catholicism. It's like he has a thing. You know what I mean? It's like I don't have a thing.
Yeah, the thing would be discovered in the show. It would be basically, let's just have like a 2 or 3 hour conversation of guys just shooting the crap, and then whatever seems to emerge, like that's the title.
Like this conversation we didn't plan on having. We're just talking, right? Like a conversation. Thing is, I'm a very good conversationalist. Like it would not be a boring episode if he had me on. I would make sure I brought things up that were an interesting conversation. He's not gonna. Whereas I've seen him have guests on that were just totally boring, right? But there's no incentive for him to have us on. We have 20,000 subs. What do we do? You know what I mean? Like we're not like super.
This would be amazing. This would be amazing, Anthony. Honestly, I would totally do this. This would be so much fun. You have to get this done. Anthony.
Do it like Michael Knowles does, like when he goes in front of like the 25 LGBTQ people, and
that would be amazing. Surround me by Novus Ordo boomer defenders. That would be the funniest episode.
Yeah,
you guys want that? It looks like you guys want that.
Yeah, it's like exactly what Anthony could talk about being a high school dropout. Like, what is he going to have me? I mean, I promise if you had me on,
your life story is literally insane, but you won't tell half the audience what it is just because, I mean, I understand.
Well, that's the thing. This actually happened in Italy.
Exactly.
We were surrounded by 25 boomer Novus Ordo Catholics. That Adrian's right. Dude, the Adrian was with me in Italy. And it wound up being like five or six of us who were like Latin masters, and Bobby goes to the Easter liturgy, and everybody else was just like a Novus Ordo Catholic. Like I was thinking, the most perplexing group to me in the church is the Novus Ordo Sedevacantist. It's like that group just perplexes me. I don't know. I don't understand it. It's like I get the Sede position. It's like, oh, the whole thing's been a mess since John the 23rd, but like the people who are Novus Ordo Catholics who just think Francis isn't the Pope, like I don't know those. I don't get that group. But we went to Italy with a lot of them. They're
watch them be ironically the right ones. That would be insane if they ended up being the ones that were right. Like a good Pope comes along and he's just like, yeah, Francis was the one guy. Everything else was legit. That would honestly be like, it would be wild, but it would be so funny.
That's why that account will become a Francis Vicantist account if he resigns, right? Now the thing is, look, if Frad did have me on, I would have to open up about those early years with that woman.
It would honestly, I've said to you before, like they need to make a movie, like your movie when you're dead, just because the stories you've told me are just so off the wall that I'm like, what are you talking about?
My childhood, my teenage years were so insane that, and it's crazy because they all happened before 20, right? So like most people have like crazy 20s. Like by 18, I was working in construction, settled down, dating my wife. So it really happened between 15 and 18. And they were some of the most insane stories that you'll ever hear somebody tell, because my parents threw me out of the house when I was 14, 15 years old. I was living with my best friend who I just actually had lunch with. We had dinner 2 weeks ago. I hadn't seen him in like 10 years. And I hadn't seen him in about 10 years, maybe 8 years, something, maybe. And I was driving past his house because my daughter had something at my old high school. And as I was driving by, I went by really slow, and he happened to be standing in his door.
Mhm.
And I just pulled in his driveway and I was like, dude, I miss you. Like, let's go out to dinner,
Is
you
this the
know?
friend that the thing happened with the thing?
No. So listen,
Okay.
so what, all right. So my parents had 9 kids, right? And
Yeah.
there was an 8-year gap between my brother Mikey and my brother Joey. So when I'm like 14, 15, there's 7 kids under the age of 5. There's 5 kids under the age of 7 in the house. And I am a bombastic teenager. Like I'm doing
Wild kid.
drugs, getting in trouble, not doing good in school, getting phone calls every day from the teacher. I cut class. I did this. I did this. I did this. And my dad was just like in a desperate attempt to show me tough love, was just like, you can't live here. Like you are out of control and you're interfering with me raising your younger siblings. Like you're out of control. And I was just like, fine, I'll leave. And I went to my friend's house, who his parents were in the midst of a divorce. And his father was living out in the Hamptons building houses, and his mother just split. So he's in this house where his father's still paying the bills, but he's got this beautiful house and he's there living with just him and his brother. At 15 years old, dude, it was unlike anything, and me living there too. So it was the 3 of us living at his house. It was absolute chaos. And this friend, he saved my life, because I was going through a period in my life where like all my friends turned on me and nobody was talking to me because like I hooked up with one of their girlfriends. And he called me and he was like, dude, like, why is everybody mad at you? Why is nobody talking to you? You know? And he wound up reaching out to me, and he became my, like, when I say best friend, like he was my brother, this kid, like, and we lived together for years. Like I lived at his house for years. And the amount of trouble I got into while living there. And then I had this incident come up with, I'm not telling it on YouTube, but if I know Brad, I'll tell it. You know what I mean? You know that whole story, right? Like I've told this story on Locals to a smaller audience, but that whole scenario happened. And it just the series of events that happened over the course of those 3 years was unlike anything. Yeah, it was absolute chaos. So, yeah, you guys don't know what you miss on Locals.
If you want the story, go to Locals.
Locals is generally the place where I tell like personal stuff, because it's a small audience and it's not going to get out there, you know. But there absolutely could be a movie about my life, especially
That's what I'm saying.
Like my conversion isn't really the story I tell, because I can't actually tell the story. Like it's too
like
personal.
Your conversion story doesn't make any real sense unless you have like a good backstory,
understanding of the degeneracy I fell into. Like it got so bad.
Yeah.
And understanding that's like, man, if you knew me when I was 17, you'd have thought this kid's gonna die of a drug overdose, end up in jail, and go to hell. Like you just would have. Like that was the trajectory I'm on. And when I start dating my wife, my in-laws are hearing these stories, and every single parent is like, you're letting your daughter date this kid? So those first years of dating my wife were like trying to prove to them that I was not the guy that they had heard about, man. It was not easy. Like I totaled a car with my wife in it while we weren't dating. And almost killed her. And the first time my in-laws meet my parents is in the hospital when me and my wife are in the hospital because I just totaled the freaking car. Like crazy stuff happened, man. Like that's their first introduction to my parents.
Everyone just go and raid all of Matt Frad's stuff and just say, have Anthony on just to tell his life story. Because honestly, like, again, I know probably more than most of the audience does, but like I'm learning stuff all the time where I'm like, God, like,
Bobby, I think part of the reason they love me now is because
he'd work his tail off. He had to prove it.
Yeah, like you have no idea. Like they did not want me near their daughter for years, and I just did not care. I'm like I wasn't like picking her up without them knowing. I was like, I'm coming to every family event. Like I don't care.
Yeah, like I'm gonna earn your trust.
Oh yeah, dude. Like it
it or
took
not.
a long freaking time, and then I knocked their daughter up. It's like
then you prove them wrong. You prove them right,
dude. When I tell my in-laws that Nicole is pregnant, like we're 22 years old. She had just finished her bachelor's in fine arts. Like she just finished college, and they're like, "What are you gonna do for a living?" And we have to go to her house. And they just got this brand new big screen TV, and the whole family sitting in that room watching a movie together. And me and Nicole walk in that room, and I grab the remote, and I go, "Oh, is this the remote for the new TV?" They go, "Yeah." And I go, "Click. We got to talk." We got to talk.
Hey guys,
so the whole family's just staring at me now, and I'm like, "Look, looks like me and Nicole are getting married a lot sooner than we had thought." My wife's sister just went, "Oh my God," and ran out of the room. Like they knew right away what it was, you know.
How many objects got tossed at you? That's, I guess, the natural question.
Dude,
to
my
ask.
in-laws handled it really well. My mother-in-law just went, "Oh, we're gonna have a wedding."
Of course, the
my
mom.
father-in-law just went, "Ugh."
Yeah.
And then he called his friend up and he was like, "Well," because like the embarrassment is my daughter's not married and she's pregnant, right? Because that's an embarrassing thing to tell. Like my daughter's pregnant and she's not married yet, and that's a hard, especially an old school guy like my father-in-law. So then he has to make the phone call to everybody and tell them. And he was, but his friends were actually very supportive. They're like, "Look, you know, your daughter's getting married. Be happy." And then he was able to be happy. Like, but even those first few years
of do it.
No, it's not. That's not how you. That's not how you do it. But even those first few years of marriage was still very like tenuous. Like they still like they had to accept me now because I'm their son-in-law, but they didn't like love me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It took
like
it
it's
took
not
them
necessarily
seeing
the situation they would have liked.
it took them seeing how I raised my kids. Like and then them seeing how I was raising my kids and treating their daughter and taking care of their daughter and seeing how hard of a worker I was. And I was like, I bought a house when I was 23 years old. Like I blew them away. Like they were just like, holy, okay, all right. He's, you know, and my father had to talk with my father-in-law at the wedding. He was like, you know, whatever happened, like, I promise you, my son will take care of your daughter. Like I raised my son to take care of his wife. Like, and I think that relieved a lot of the pressure and stuff. But yeah, so like if I ever told the full story though, it's a lot.
Yeah, no, that'd be honestly awesome. That's why Fred should have you on.
Yeah, so that probably did say, yeah, it did, right? So it was this immediate desire to be a husband provider. Like that is what changed my life. Like it was like, and the adversarial relationship itself. The adversarial relationship itself to them, almost like they wanted, not that they wanted me to fail. That of course they didn't want me to fail, but like everybody around me, like even all my high school teachers thinking I'd never amount to anything. They actually didn't. I was always smart. Like I was really always smart. So when I would get in trouble, I'd actually get pulled aside by teachers and they would be like, "You're not dumb. Like you're like, I don't understand why you're not doing good in school." It was just because I never cared about school. Like I just hated it. I hated the things I was learning, and I always knew I was going to work construction. So I just never put anything into it. So I never did homework, but I would ace every test because the subject matter was simple. So they'd be like, "You're getting A's on your tests, but you're failing the class because you didn't do homework. Like it doesn't make sense, you know?" I was like, "Well, stop giving me homework and I'll pass your class." Like so I would like, there were so many teachers that I would finesse into giving me good grades because they knew I was learning the subject matter, even though I wasn't doing the actual work. It was like, I was very good at being charming, which is not always good. Like you become a bit narcissistic.
It would be an epic show.
Yeah, so he's right? So it's
I mean,
like
honestly,
all the people around me thinking I would fit, like it made me want to be the thing they didn't think I could be, you know? So like sometimes, look, like our the things that suck in your life are the things that are going to make you who you are.
Exactly.
They just are. Like it's you know, whatever crappy circumstance you're in, it's actually making you into a different person. It's the thing that's grinding you down to make you different. If everything's just handed to you and easy, I promise you, you're not going to end up a good person.
Exactly.
As a high school teacher, it sucks when you're right about bad kids. Awesome when you're wrong. I would think so. Yeah. Oh man, how like. If they would have harnessed my talents in the right way instead of just sending me through the conveyor belt, you know what I mean? Because I've always like one class I did amazing in was 9th grade English because we learned about the Greek gods, and something clicked when I was learning about Greek mythology. That was just like, this is amazing. Like I went and bought books about Greek mythology outside of what the school told me to read because I was just so enraptured by Greek mythology, right? And then the same thing happened when I was learning about the Roman Empire and history. So like learning about those two subjects. So then like when I have my conversion and seeing the Hebrew Bible come together with the Roman Empire and Greek mythology, like those three things just clicked for me and it made me want to learn about church history. And that's really what like started this show in some weird way.
Yeah. No, I remember it was church history a long time ago. That's what it started my interest in theology in a general way. It was great. Did we have any?
What made you stick with your wife, with your now wife? It seems like a lot of people run away from a situation like that. I just freaking adore her, man. She's like, my wife is such a sweet, like I don't know, man. I never worry about anybody meeting my wife. She's just, I've never met a girl that didn't like her. Like, you know how women backbite each other and they talk about each other? Like my wife, she's just fun and she's sweet. And I don't know, man, like I would never, ever, ever, ever lose that girl. Like it just, and she made me want to be a better husband and father. Like I like to not want to lose a girl like that. Like she's just too good. I would never. Yeah, like even Bobby has spent real time with me and Nicole. Like we went to Italy and spent 2 weeks there together, and then he came and spent time with my family together. Like I really do have a beautiful family. Like it's, you know, all my siblings get along. I get along with my in-laws. I have a beautiful family, and if of all the riches I have in my life, my family is by far like my greatest treasure. You know, even if I lost my job and I couldn't afford to pay for anything, my family is a treasure that I don't care. I like when I die, I will die a happy man for the people that God put in my life. Yeah, if you guys got any other questions, I think we're gonna wrap this one up. Almost 2 hours. You guys kept us on. We were at an hour and 20. We're like, all right, let's wrap it up. I wouldn't let my sister date an Italian.
You know, honestly, I don't blame you.
Look, the Italian people are they're very nostalgic. They're very sentimental. We're very sentimental people. Like we do love being around family and stuff. Like I got my father-in-law when we were away this last weekend. Like we had music playing and all the girls were dancing. I just saw my father-in-law just starting to choke up and like tear up because he sees his girls and his granddaughters and like his two sons-in-law getting along. And it was like, he was just so touched by the moment. I was like, you are such a giddy dude. I was like, get over here. I gave him a big hug.
Italian life.
Andrew Wilson. I like Andrew. I think Andrew serves a purpose, you know. He's orthodox.
Yeah, I'd say overall, I'd say he does good messaging. Maybe some of the ways he maybe phrases stuff isn't necessarily the most prudent or charitable, but
Molly, all I can do is tell interesting stories. Like I don't know what else to do. Like I remember when I would I remember like the radio shows I listened to when I was younger. The ones that I liked the most were when the host would like reveal things, like where he knew how to tell a story and he would tell you things about like his childhood that were good. Like those are the ones I always enjoyed the most. So I do that because I think a lot of like, even if you can't relate to it, so it's going to be funny, but I think a lot of people have similar experiences, right? Like Nick, you could not have lived a more different childhood than me, but it's still entertaining. You're a funny story about getting.
Oh yeah, no, 1000%.
I'm a Newport guy, Paul.
I don't smoke cigarettes. I'm more of a pipe guy.
Yeah. All right. We are going to cut this one off. Please hit like, subscribe, share the show. The best way you guys can support us. If you're not subscribed to Locals, these are typically the things you hear on Locals when I
you even hear more when he thinks that Locals is done.
Like
that was so funny the other night. Honestly, that was just so funny the other night.
Because the conversation was so relaxed that I assumed we weren't on air. That's all.
Yeah, I was like, all right, going there. No.
Oh, people. That's a comment about your fake Twitter. All right, guys. We'll see you guys on Tuesday night. I like doing these. Like if I don't have work on a Saturday, maybe we'll do these every so often and just do a politics wrap up. And
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I always like doing these. So, all right, guys. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Adios. Oh, Tuesday we have Cameron Riker.
Yeah.
Nick, maybe you
Guy
stay
who's
off
so
that one. Maybe you stay off that one because I don't want it to turn into a Novus Ordo versus, and I know that guy.
No, I wouldn't. I just want to
He's gonna
see
be
how
so Novus Ordo, Nick. It's gonna turn into
is he
that.
is he so pro Novus Ordo?
Dude, he's probably a lofting guy. Man, all right, we'll talk off air. We'll see. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Adios.